1. The morning after the last smoke. No one remembered the exact day the final chimney stopped breathing ash into the sky. There were no fireworks, no speeches carved into monuments, no single hero standing above the rest. It happened quietly, like a sick child finally sleeping without fever. At dawn, the world opened its eyes. Cities that had once trembled beneath traffic now hummed like gardens. Streets were soft with moss paths, and clear streams ran beside walkways where cars had once crowded. Towers wore leaves like emerald coats, their windows catching sunlight and sharing it through transparent solar glass. Rooftops held orchards, rain pools, butterfly sanctuaries, and quiet places where anyone could sit and listen to the wind. The air tasted new. Across the planet, people stepped outside and saw the same impossible thing. The horizon was no longer hidden. Mountains returned to view. Birds stitched the morning with silver songs. Children pointed upward as great sky gardens floated between buildings, carried by silent clean engines, watering neighborhoods with mist gathered from clouds. Earth had not been saved by one invention. It had been saved by a change of heart repeated billions of times. 2. Cities that learned to breathe. The new cities were not built against nature. They were built as nature. Every neighborhood had a breathing center, a living tower of roots, algae, flowers, and filtered rain. These towers cleaned the air, cooled the streets, grew food, stored water, and glowed softly at night with gentle biolight. People no longer measured wealth by how much they owned, but by how much life surrounded them. Old highways had become green rivers. Some carried bicycles and quiet, gliding trams. Others were forests where fruit trees bent over public benches and tiny foxes crossed safely beneath arching bridges. Homes adjusted themselves to the seasons, opening petals of shade in summer and folding warm light inward during winter. No one was left behind. Every building had shared kitchens, learning rooms, healing gardens, and terraces open to the sky. Loneliness became rare because architecture itself invited people to meet. When evening arrived, the cities breathed out a cool fragrance of mint, rain, and flowers. From above, they looked less like machines and more like glowing coral reefs on land. 3. The ocean returned its songs. For a century, humanity had listened to the ocean only when it was angry. Now, at last, humanity listened when it sang. The floating restoration gardens drifted across the seas like peaceful lanterns. Their roots hung deep into the water, sheltering young fish, feeding coral nurseries, and collecting the last fragments of forgotten plastic. Beneath them, reefs bloomed in colors so bright they seemed invented by dreams. Whales returned to ancient paths. Turtles nested on beaches where soft lights guided them safely to the waves. Fishermen became ocean stewards, gathering only what the sea could freely give and spending most of their days planting reef seeds and guiding travelers through underwater forests. Along the shores, cities built wide blue parks where tides could move as they wished. No wall tried to command the sea. Instead, wetlands, mangroves, dunes, and floating homes danced with the water. One evening, millions gathered along beaches around the world to hear the first global ocean concert. The music came from hydrophones, whales, waves, coral clicks, rain, and human choirs. It was not a performance. It was an apology becoming a promise. 4. The school without walls. In the utopic Earth, school was no longer a box with bells. Children learned mathematics by tracking the spirals of sunflowers. They learned engineering by repairing bird-safe wind kites. They learned history beneath restored forests, where elders told them how close the world had come to losing its colors. They learned kindness by caring for injured animals, growing food for neighbors, and helping design tools for people they had never met. Every child had access to mentors, libraries of light, gardens, observatories, workshops, music domes, and quiet places for wonder. Artificial intelligence did not replace teachers. It became a patient companion, translating whale calls, explaining soil microbes, and helping curious minds ask better questions. There were exams, but they were not tests of fear. They were festivals of making. One group might design a bridge for migrating deer. Another might compose music that helped seeds grow. Another might build a rain catcher shaped like a flower. The greatest lesson was simple and enormous. Knowledge was not power over the world. Knowledge was friendship with the world. 5. The Great Bridge of Species. When the planet healed, the animals returned first as whispers. A shadow of antlers at the edge of a city orchard. A river otter sliding through a canal beneath a library. Parrots nesting in vertical gardens. Bees sleeping in warm clay houses built into every balcony. Then the whispers became a chorus. Across continents, humanity built the Great Bridge of Species, not one bridge, but millions of connected corridors. Forest tunnels crossed under rail lines. Flower routes crossed deserts. Canopy paths linked mountain valleys. Ocean lanes protected migrating whales from noise and harm. Even the skies had safe, invisible highways for birds. People learned to share space with elegance. Farms grew in layered circles, leaving wild centers untouched. Cities dimmed their lights during migrations. Rivers were given room to curve, flood, rest, and sparkle. Predators returned, and with them came balance. The first time a herd crossed above a former highway on a meadow bridge, thousands watched in silence. No one cheered. The moment was too sacred for noise. The planet had become a home again, not only for humanity, but for everyone with wings, roots, paws, fins, seeds, and songs. 6. The Festival of Tomorrow. Every year, on the day of the clearest sunrise, Earth celebrated the Festival of Tomorrow. There were no borders in the sky that morning. Satellites made of mirrored petals reflected soft sunlight toward polar gardens. Desert cities opened, night blooming, flowers the size of sails. Mountain villages sent streams of music down valleys. Ocean platforms released clouds of harmless glowing plankton that shimmered like stars upon the waves. People did not celebrate victory over nature. They celebrated belonging to it. At sunset, every city, village, island, forest station, and floating garden dimmed its lights. The planet grew quiet enough to hear insects, leaves, distant surf, and human breathing. Then, all at once, the world projected its dreams into the sky. Not advertisements, not commands, but images made by children. Clean rivers, laughing elders, forests without end, animals walking unafraid, homes full of music, stars reflected in restored lakes. The future was not perfect, because perfection had never been the goal. The future was alive, forgiving, generous, and awake. And beneath the glowing sky, Earth kept breathing.